All right, good morning. So it's about 11 a.m. right now. I'm obviously still in Silverton. I'm just heading to the grocery store right now to get my resupply on food. I only need a couple days of food because the next town I'm heading to is Lake City and it's not far to get there. And yeah, leaving town in about an hour with three other hikers, Pale Ale, Sprouts, and Boomerang. So yeah, those are their trail names. And leaving here at 12, we're getting a ride from some guy who offers rides basically straight back to the trail. So that's going to be good. Apparently, because it's like a crazy dirt road to get up to the trail, he actually gives us a ride in his pickup truck and then we hop on an ATV and he takes us the rest of the way, all the way to the trail. So yeah, it's $30 for that, which sounds like a pretty good deal. It's a lot of elevation to get up there. So yeah, anyway, leaving with those people soon. Had a really nice stay at the Avon. All those people I mentioned were at the Avon as well. There were actually a lot more hikers there yesterday who left yesterday, because as I mentioned before, there are a lot of hikers kind of ahead of me and I'm kind of like on the tail end or in a bubble of like not many hikers basically. So there's a lot of people that actually left town yesterday. So it's just me and three people leaving town today. But yeah, had a nice breakfast as well. We made pancakes and eggs at the hostel at the Avon, and the Avon is a really nice place to stay at. So yeah, anyway, just gonna get my resupply on food now and get ready to get moving.
You make a bad situation worse. Next thing you know, your car is starting. It's best in this area. It's best just to sit on it. It's actually cheaper if you call it from the very beginning. Right there where the going to the mine tour, it goes to there. It's just a little.
We gotta come back for that mine tour.
Yeah.
You... What? Hiker! Oh, should we? Well,
It's too late.
we'll figure it out.
All right, back on trail. So I'm back on the CDT or the CT, Colorado Trail. Basically the CDT and the Colorado Trail overlap for actually like the next 300 miles or something. But yeah, back on the trail. It's about 1 p.m. now and I got a ride all the way up to the trail on like an ATV or a dune buggy type thing. So that was really cool. And I'm actually hiking the wrong direction right now. I'm hiking basically southbound on the CDT. You're probably wondering, why is that? Like, I'm going the wrong way. But basically, I'm very committed to the idea of continuous footsteps and having walked from Mexico to Canada all the way with no gaps in between. And basically, where I left the trail to get into Silverton was actually about 2.2 miles back on the trail, where I hiked down a trail to the valley and then to the dirt road to Silverton. But I was able to get a ride all the way to the actual trail, just at a different point, 2.2 miles ahead. So basically what I'm doing is, yeah, just hiking 2.2 miles back to where I left the trail and then turning right back around and walking back the way that I just went, another 2.2 miles. So it's adding 4.4 miles to the trip, I guess, but it means that I'll have the continuous footpath the whole way, which I know some of you are probably watching this thinking that's ridiculous, what an arbitrary kind of goal, but you know, I'm very determined to have walked from Mexico to Canada. So not everyone cares as much as I do about that goal specifically, but some people do. So anyway, I got a ride with three other hikers, Boomerang, Pale Ale and Sprouts, and they're all really cool, chill people. I was hanging out with them at the Avon, the hostel in town, and yeah, so they are not as crazy as I am about the whole continuous footstep thing, so they've carried on hiking northbound. I'm sure I'll either see them later today or tomorrow or something if I manage to catch up to them. So yeah, I'll probably see them later, but they're on their way in the opposite direction. So it's kind of funny just like leaving them and yeah, walking basically the wrong way on the CDT now. But that's what happens when you're, I don't know, stuck to the idea of continuous footsteps. Also, that ride up to the trail was awesome. That was amazing. That was a really, really cool experience. Like honestly, way cooler than I could have imagined. I figured it was going to be really fun, but the trail, well, actually the dirt road, it's like a really rocky, steep road that goes like way up the cliff. And like you gain, I think from town, we gained like 3,000 feet of elevation or something. So I'm glad I didn't walk all the way back up. Would have been crazy. But yeah, it was a pretty cool ride. Basically, it was hard to film much. Well, I was just worried that like we were bumping all over the place. It's all rocky and crazy. And also it's really dusty. And I was worried the dust, sometimes the dust gets, it's happened in New Mexico where basically the dust gets in the gimbal on this camera and it kind of like messes with the gimbal. So anyway, I mostly kept the camera away. I filmed a few shots with my phone, so if you notice there's some shaky phone footage on there of like the ATV ride. But yeah, it was really fun. This guy from Texas who's moved out here to Colorado basically gave us a ride. He charged $30, which honestly was very reasonable because it took like almost an hour or something. Like we drove in his pickup truck and then hopped into this, I don't know if it's an ATV or if it's like a dune buggy or something, but like kind of like an off-road type thing. And yeah, and then we went like straight up and he had loads of cool stuff to say. He was talking to us about the mines, you know, all the silver and gold mines around here from the late 1800s. He had lots of information about that. Very knowledgeable guy. And also talking to us about ghosts. He said his wife had a lot of encounters with ghosts and was like seeing ghosts and having all these weird paranormal experiences. So yeah, it was fun to chat to him. He was a cool guy. There's actually a lot of people out here from Texas, I've noticed. But yeah, awesome ride. Feeling really ecstatic actually after like such a fun ride up to the trail. So had a great stop in Silverton. Hostel was really cool. Meeting all those people was really cool. Way back up here was really cool. So yeah, it's been a good like, you know, day off trail or whatever it's been. So yeah. But basically from Silverton I had two options. I could either go just a short stretch like 35 miles to hitch to the next town, Lake City, and just carry, you know, like 2 days of food, day and a half, whatever. Or, you know, carry like 5 days of food and go all the way to the next town, like Gunnison or Salida. So I've actually opted for the former and carrying less food. It was quite expensive at the grocery store in Silverton as well. So just carrying like 2 days of food. And then I'll be going into Lake City. That's what everyone else was doing, so I figured it made sense. Alright, so this is the exact spot where I left the CDT. So basically to go into Silverton, I actually went down this trail right here, and that took me down to the valley to a dirt road where I could walk into Silverton. But because I got a ride back to the trail further up at Stoney Pass, I've hiked down, reconnected with where I left the trail, and now I'm gonna continue north on my way to Canada with my connected continuous footpath all the way. So yeah, good stuff. back on trail in a normal fashion again, just going northbound. So yeah. So it may not look like much, but there's a small stream here just in the middle of this kind of valley, and this is actually the source of the Rio Grande. So I was just looking at the maps and it says source of Rio Grande, and that's a pretty major river in the US. So this is actually really cool. I'm at the source of the Rio Grande, and actually for this trail I flew initially to El Paso, and from El Paso I took a train to somewhere in New Mexico. And in El Paso, the Rio Grande flows right through. It actually marks the border of the US and Mexico, between El Paso and a city called Juarez in Mexico. And yeah, I was right by the Rio Grande down there, which is far from here. And this is the source of that same river. So I actually followed it on the map from here. And you can do the same if you want. I'm basically at a point called Stoney Pass, which is near Silverton. It's just like east, maybe slightly northeast of Silverton, near Stoney Pass. Just north of Stoney Pass is the source of the Rio Grande, and you can follow it on the map all the way down. There's Rio Grande National Forest in Colorado, and then it crosses into New Mexico, and it goes straight through, I think it goes through or close to Santa Fe, and then straight through Albuquerque, and all the way down to, well, eventually some point it goes down all the way through New Mexico and then crosses into Texas by El Paso. And unfortunately I don't have the rest of the maps downloaded because I just have like New Mexico downloaded and Colorado. But I assume at some point, it goes into Mexico, I guess, unless it goes across Texas. But it probably exits into the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, anyway, this is the source of that major river, which is pretty cool. Because basically the Continental Divide Trail, well, the Continental Divide is, a mountain range right in the middle of the continent, dividing the watershed. So on one side of the Continental Divide, is the source of many major rivers that go to the east coast, basically, of the continent of North America. And then, on the other side of the Continental Divide, they run out to the west. So, for example, the Colorado River, which goes through the Grand Canyon, I assume, is sourced from multiple points in Colorado along the Continental Divide. I don't know if there's one particular source, but for all of these rivers, multiple streams feed into them the whole way. But basically I'm hiking mostly along the Continental Divide, going either side of it. And yeah, it's pretty cool, like dividing the watershed. But yeah, it's cool being at the source of the Rio Grande. I thought that was a cool fun fact for you guys. So I was initially pointing more down here where the stream does go, but now I'm actually crossing the stream. So this is, basically the source of the Rio Grande, and basically it starts up there. That's like the actual source of the river. Obviously there are multiple points that join in, like all over the place. There'll be streams everywhere that link into this, but this is like the official source, I guess, of the Rio Grande. I'm sure some of the viewers of this channel probably live close to the Rio Grande, so that's probably quite cool to actually see the source of it right here, because it's a major river that flows through like Albuquerque, El Paso, and other places. I'm definitely going to fill up on water here. Actually, I'm going to fill up at least a litre here and drink some of the precious Rio Grande water. So that's about as fresh and clean as the Rio Grande gets. Ice cold, delicious water. So I came from down there, I crossed the Rio Grande down there. So I haven't found much in terms of sheltered spots to camp. And I was looking at the maps and it looks like I'll be kind of above the tree line for at least the next few miles until I could potentially reach a lake or something. So really I think this might be the best option unless I wanted to hike another like 4 miles or something like that. I found this spot where basically I could kind of go here and basically I'm sheltered by all these bushes, and the wind is kind of coming from the direction that it's coming from over here towards me. So yeah, it's a decent little spot, and if I wanted it to be really sheltered and secluded, I could actually go into the bushes here, and there's a nice little flat spot. I know it's hard to see because the sunlight is kind of in this direction, but yeah, there's a flat spot right here which is essentially just like surrounded by bushes and really enclosed. I do feel like animals live here, probably just marmots, but still, yeah, animals might bother me at night. I'm not sure, we'll see. Alright, so I have actually decided to set up camp basically in the bushes. It's not very windy, there's just a light breeze, but it's nice to get out of the breeze anyway. So it's difficult because of the sunlight right now, but I'll show you again in the morning. But this is my camp, so it's a little bit of a tight squeeze, but basically I'm just surrounded by bushes. If you can see that. So this is my little exit, but all around me are just bushes. Anyway, I think it's actually a pretty nice little cozy little spot. So just gonna hang out here, eat some food before the sun goes down, maybe edit some videos actually, and then go to bed. And I think it's gonna be a nice little sheltered spot. So this is the meal that I've got for today. It's the 3 Amigos veggie stew. So pinto beans, red beans, chickpeas, vegetables, and hemp. Sounds pretty healthy if you ask me. So I think it's probably a vegan meal. It's definitely vegetarian, maybe vegan, I don't know. But 560 calories, so it's not a very high calorie meal in terms of especially how much it cost. It was like $10 or something, which is kind of ridiculous, but I think it's healthy. You can see the ingredients there. Probably kind of healthy, I think. Better than just eating junk all the time. And it tastes nice, so yeah. Been cold soaking this for a while. So yeah, gonna probably open it now and start eating. And then, yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, one last thing actually. I've been meaning to mention this for a while, but I'm just cold soaking meals. And I don't think it's a good idea to cold soak meals which are pasta. So I'm only going to do like rice and beans type meals, because I think usually these meals are like, I don't know, pre-cooked or whatever, like dehydrated, and all you really need to do is rehydrate them. But I'm pretty sure the pasta meals don't work like that. So anything that has pasta, like those fettuccine meals that I was having, and I also had a mac and cheese one, I'm pretty sure it was causing like kind of digestion issues. It wasn't that bad, but I don't think you're supposed to just cold soak the pasta. I think pasta actually has to be cooked, whereas this stuff can definitely be cold soaked, just like beans and rice or whatever. So yeah, just figured I'd give you guys a heads up on that. This meal is actually really nice, really enjoying it. Lots of broccoli in there. I think there's celery, bell peppers, tomato, lots of vegetables. So it's a good healthy meal, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It's really nice.